And welcome back to the Diamond Age. Marty here. Earlier this week, we've been talking about hydraulic subjects, different types of things. So today we're going to stick in that same family or same category. And today we're going to talk about hydraulic tractor filters. The filters I have today, at least two of them, fit my TYM T474. But what I have to explain today basically fits all tractors with hydraulic filters on them, whether you have a hydrostatic transmission or a shuttle shift or a fully manual transmission or power shuttle. That tractor is going to have some type of hydraulic filter on it. First thing I want to mention is that the number one important thing to do when trying to find a replacement for, if you have a new tractor, you're a new tractor owner, never had a tractor before, and you're creeping up on your 50-hour tractor service and you're going to do it yourself. Well, I get a lot of messages about what other filter brands will fit my tractor besides the factory filters or OEM filters. Well, that's a very deep rabbit hole we could dig that we're not going to dig today. But in my experience over the years, and especially the last 2 years, I have found that certain tractor brands, or at least the manufacturer who made the actual transmission, act differently according to the filters that are put on them. Case in point, let's just throw this out in the open because it's been a very big discussion for a long time on Facebook and other places on the Branson Legacy tractors. The hydrostatic and the hydraulic filters are different than the TYM. As if you're watching this video, you may already know that TYM bought out Cook J Machinery, which owned and manufactured the Branson trade name of tractors. Maybe one of these days I'll make a video on all that history from back up into the 50s when all this started, both companies, but we're not going to discuss that today. But in 2022, TYM got real serious about consolidating all tractors under their new acquisition or fully acquisition to TYM instead of having Branson and TYM. But even today, the filters are different. TYM is working on consolidating and changing and redesigning things for the better. But if you have a 4-digit Branson tractor or Branson Legacy prior to 2024, then you're better off using an OEM hydraulic filter on that tractor, whether, in my opinion, both hydrostatic and hydraulic suction. There are some aftermarket filters that are listed on those manufacturers' websites that says they will fit. I don't own any of them, so I can't sit here and say, yes, they work great, or no, they don't. I can only tell you what I have experienced by reading from the actual owners and the majority of them have issues when they go with aftermarket filters. Now, there's some out there say that they never have a problem. Maybe they don't. I have also seen some of the factory filters collapse internally on suction filters. Now, before everybody jumps off the bandwagon or whatever and gets all sideways, I'm not saying they're terrible filters. That could happen to anything. Not necessarily a bad run of filters, not necessarily a badly designed filter. A lot of that is owner induced. I want to say something here out in the open, and I hope someone will listen, because it's a genuine fact. I've had, not really arguments, but I've had some serious discussions with people offline about why you shouldn't use this hydraulic fluid, or why you shouldn't do this, or why you shouldn't do that. But the number one reason people have problems with failing filters is they do not let their tractor warm up in the wintertime. I don't care what brand of hydraulic fluid you use, if it's rated for this 46 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit or 146 degrees below Fahrenheit, if you don't let that tractor, and especially that hydraulic system, warm up, you're going to have a flow restriction inside them filters and through that system until it does. I don't care if it's 20 below 0, if that engine oil and that hydraulic fluid in that tractor is rated for that cold weather, it will start, and it will operate. But you have to let that thing warm up to almost to operating temperature before it will operate correctly. Some people, I think, are just impatient. They run outside, they have an engine block heater, and they think they're good to go if the engine cranks up, and usually does. Well, guess what? Just because the engine oil is a little warmer than the rest of it doesn't mean the rest of it's warm as the engine oil. And it's not going to operate correctly until it is. And I think that's a lot of where those collapsed filters are coming from. I have no evidence. I can't sit here and just absolutely 100% tell you that's what caused it. But what I can sit here and tell you 100% what I think, and in my opinion, is that they're not letting those tractors warm up, okay? I have a few examples. I only captured 2 screenshots back a month or so ago that I had planned to keep until a video like this. And I guess today is the day. So I'll insert those pictures for you to look at. They're the insides of a collapsed filter, and they're just broken, just 100% collapsed. And the owners of those tractors had no idea when that occurred. All they know is when they got to their 50-hour service, their hydraulic filters shake, rattle, and roll when they shook them, So when that happens, your paper composite filter element inside is compromised, because it no longer has that metal band inside there to give it strength. So it acts like a bellows, especially in the cold weather. It gets sucked in like this, and it can. I have seen examples in the past where there's so much restriction it sucks it in too. So the only way the flow was going it was actually through that the hydraulic fluid going through that filter and then it back up into the transmission or the hydraulic system, whichever the case may be. So anyway, all that rambling on, I guess what I'm trying to say is you need to do a little bit of deep research or asking someone that actually knows, not for opinions, regardless of the make and model of your tractor. It could be anything. You can't go wrong by using OEM filters. I like to use Donaldson. I don't have any affiliation with Donaldson, but I've been doing this a very long time, operating equipment since I was 9 years old. I've seen some things and done some things and learned some things, and I'm trying to pass that on to somebody else who can benefit from that knowledge or experience. It's the easiest way is to get OEM filters for your tractor. That's not always the most inexpensive way, and I understand that. Right now, I don't use OEM filters on my tractor. I had a mixture of Wicks and Donaldson when at my 50-hour service. I made sure with my dealer and I, Anderson Tractor in Carthage, Texas, have a close relationship, very close relationship. I can ask them anything and know I'm going to get a straight up answer with no stepping around the block or nothing. I made sure it was okay before I made a move or even bought the first filter. I knew before I ever asked that the quality of Donaldson and at some of the Wicks, I used to be a big Wicks fan. I'm no longer a big Wicks fan. But I used a mixture of Donaldson and Wicks filters at my 50-hour service, and now my tractor has all Donaldson filters on it, from the air cleaner, outer air cleaner, inner air cleaner, oil filter, hydrostatic filter. That's just what Marty does. I'm not telling you what to do or even suggesting. I'm just explaining what the options are and what you need to be careful about. Some of the, I hadn't, you're probably wondering why this big yellow one's sitting here, but this is not an actual hydraulic filter. This is actually a fuel filter built, but it's built just like a hydraulic filter. The only difference is the element micron rating inside, the flow rates, and the thread opening here in the face are usually a little larger on a hydraulic filter. This is also machined aluminum filter head. Has a very even flow on the inlet side, and a lot of the hydraulic suction filters on your tractor will look like this. The hydrostatic filters are always a little shorter, like these. Sometimes there'll be fat ones like this one and short, or they'll be really, really long. This is a medium long one. But just be careful before you. I'm sorry, I thought of something else. Another thing people don't realize, and it's very, very important to get this part. A lot of people, the first thing they do is get online on the internet and they try to cross-reference a filter. That's one of the most dangerous things you can ever do to any piece of equipment. I mean, literally, one of the most dangerous things you can do is to take take that for face value. I could cross-reference this filter here and come up with about 27 to 30 different filters that says will directly replace this filter. Well, that's a bald-faced lie. There's probably only two things out of 90% of those cross-references that are true, and that is the thread size and the width of the gasket. Just because this gasket width will fit your tractor or equipment, and just because this thread is the same regardless of what it is, some of them is metric, some of them are standard or SAE, but whatever it is doesn't necessarily mean that's the best option for your equipment. There's lots of things to consider before you just randomly go out to a parts store and pick up a filter or say, you got this in stock. No, we got this one. Okay, well, that's on the list too. Let me have that. And then you take it back and you do your service, and the next thing you know, you got whining and crying out of your transmission, or you got restriction, or your tractor's overheating. There's so many things putting the wrong filter on your equipment can cause. You have got to have a matching flow rate. How many gallons per minute will that does your OEM filter flow? How many micron ratings? What is the micron rating on that filter? Because the engineers that designed that transmission or that hydraulic system has a specific number for that thing to operate correctly, cool properly, and continuously operate correctly. I cannot talk today. If you put a 5 micron hydraulic filter on a machine that was designed for 25 or 30 micron hydraulic filter, guess what? You just entered a highly restrictive point in that system. And when you introduce that restrictive point in that system, you have automatically added heat to that system. And that heat in that system can't cool itself back down because it constantly has that restriction at that point, at that filter. That filter is causing the heat. And the heat can't go anywhere because it's a constant cycle. So please keep that in mind if you're looking for aftermarket filters to go on your piece of equipment. Because just because it says it will fit doesn't mean it will work or work very long. I cannot begin to tell you how many people have gone to Napa or AutoZone or O'Reilly, it just, you name it, mom and pop's auto parts, or order online. I cannot begin to tell you how many people that I have seen and I have talked to and messaged with privately that said, I went to so-and-so and picked this model number up because it said it cross-referenced, and my tractor won't act right. Well, it's never going to act right if it can't act right. And that was the cause. 9 times out of 10, they either get one that matches the flow rates all the way around, or puts an OEM factory filter on there and doesn't have any more trouble. Sometimes less cost is not worth it in the long run. I look at the whole picture when I'm doing this myself. You know, I'm just one man with 3 tractors and a bunch of stuff here, but I take care of everything I have. I meticulously maintain my stuff because I can't afford just to replace it when it tears up And if it tears up, I'm usually the cause, and I don't want to be the cause. So, to wrap up this video, just be highly educated before you go out and snatch the first filter that you think will fit. Try not to save money on the front end when it could end up costing you big time on the back end. Thanks for watching.